Welcome back to All Chat, episode 14, the only League of Legends esports podcast made by the fans for the fans that brings you updates for all four major regions every week. My name is Jack Dawes. I'm joined by Grayson Yada. Let's talk about some League of Legends.
Let's talk about some League, Jack.
Well, LEC finished, and did you watch the G2 Fnatic game at all?
I did. Okay, that series was just like kind of hard for me to watch. Like with all the lane swaps, I'm not the biggest fan of that stuff, man. I don't know about you.
So I think lane swaps are really interesting. I think lane swaps make the game really fun because it's like a new layer of gameplay to add. But I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter and Reddit about people being like, please ban lane swaps, like find a way to like make lane swaps not a thing. Even on like Cadrill's stream when he was I watched his VOD of it, and when he was talking about the lane swaps, he was like, the way that to fix lane swaps is put a cage around each lane. Everyone is in cages and no one can leave for the first 5 minutes. And I don't know, I guess I don't really get the hate. I think lane swaps are cool.
Dude, I don't know. I think it's like hard to watch sometimes. Like I know in that first game, Fnatic got off to like a pretty quick start because of that. I think it was like, what was it? BB was on Sion.
Yeah.
And they were just like 4-man camping his lane for like the first 5 minutes. And I was like, dude, this is completely unplayable for BB. Like, I feel so bad for him. And then I think it went the other way in one of the later games, and Oscar
being BB in that series, and he gets stuck on Sion for the first 2 games, and his KD, like, he must have been like 0-10 the first 2 games. They won the second game. But imagine being like, you're on Sion duty in this lane swap we're doing. Your only job is to just die under tower a bunch of times and just thin the wave as many times as possible so they can't take the tower. That's your only job. Like, I would bet
that would suck, dude. yeah. And then like Hans was up at top just getting free plates for like the first 5 minutes too, right? Wasn't he on Tristana?
Yeah, he did one on Tristana, he did another one on Jinx. I think it was I don't remember which one it was. It might have been his Jinx game. But they got top tower in like 6 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Like something insane.
Super silly. But I don't know, I'm just not I don't really like it. It's like, for me, I like having the laning phase. I don't know about you. Well, obviously you kind of like it. But
you like the structure of like having a laning phase, moving into like objective control, team fighting, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because I didn't really watch League when like the lane swap meta was an actual thing.
Okay.
So like I'm just not really used to it, right?
Yeah.
But I can see how, like, I'm a huge fan of the Baus of FMS. So like kind of getting that style of gaming with this inting Sion and stuff was I like seeing that at least. But I don't know. I think it was different for sure.
It's interesting that this style of lane swaps, maybe I don't remember it that well, because when I started watching League, it was like right at the tail end of the lane swap meta. So I came in like right as that was kind of fizzling out and not becoming a thing anymore. So I do remember a little bit of it, but my memory of it is it was more like stable in the past than it is now. Like, it used to be, I mean, I assume that the lane swap back then had the same purpose of like throwing your bot lane top so they can take that tower really quickly in like a 2v1. But my memory is that instead of playing like a feeding Sion kind of thing where you just know you're going to die a bunch of times, my memory is that your top laner would just play something that was like you could weak side on and just kind of like lose gracefully but like not die a lot. I don't remember if that's right, but they're also like, there wasn't plates or anything back then, you know? So the towers didn't have that like cascading gold and defense. So it was different back then. This new form of lane swaps where it's like send bot lane top, put Sion bot, and just let him die over and over again is a little different. But I don't know, I still find it entertaining, I guess. It's just like a different way to play the game.
Yeah, I mean, like, so the whole point is just for the bot lane to get ahead, right?
Yeah, that's why you play like hyper carries like Jinx and stuff, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was like, for me, it's just kind of hard to justify, having, because at the same time, it's just because over time, gold kind of goes down for every kill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like more
That's like
worth to just get the tower
exactly.
than to give over kills. Okay,
Yeah. So
okay.
they were. I think Cajal explained it pretty well on his stream, where G2 were kind of like one of the mechanics that they were trying to abuse with the lane swap is the fact that one, like if you die over and over again without getting any kills, the amount of gold that someone gets for killing you goes down every time, so it's less
Hmm.
worth every time. But also, the bounty system, the way it works
Oh.
is you get more of a bounty for getting kills than you do for getting towers. So like
Hmm.
towers aren't weighted as heavily in the bounty system as kills are. So
Okay.
basically what you do is you send your bot lane top, they kill the entire tower, get all the gold from that, and then while that's happening, Sion is dying 4 or 5 times to the bot laner who's getting like decreasing returns on killing him, and at the same
Hmm.
time the bounty is going up. And as soon as you kill the enemy bot laner like one time, you get that whole bounty too, and you just get like all like at that point you should be like winning in gold, you know?
Okay. Yeah, so strictly econ.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
an econ thing, and I guess it's just
kind of
like
like
blowing the map open early too, you know?
yeah, just kind of abusing the bounty system too a little bit, right?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, I did watch a lot of the Baus, and that was something that he abused a lot, right? It was the bounty
Yeah,
system. He was like, "Oh yeah, keep killing me, and then when I get you back, you know, like, or when my teammates get you, they're gonna get a bunch of gold in return." So it's crazy that we're seeing that on the pro stage.
yeah. People got to start
Yeah,
putting respect on the Bowser's name. That guy's actually good. Like, I'll die
dude.
on this horse that the Bowser is like actually good at the game, and
Uh
that
huh.
his strategy, like, he's not inting, like, he's not running it down like Tyler One would. You know, like he's
Yeah,
actually just good at the game. It's just a different strategy, and like maybe it sucks to play with, but you got to put some respect on his name for doing it. You know.
yeah. I think I've heard some devs kind of talking about the guy before. It's just like we don't know like what to do about our banning system because like people can report him for inting, but he's not actually trying to int.
Yeah,
So it's like he's the odd man out in that term or in
yeah,
that aspect. And it's
because
like
he
we
wins
don't know
games.
how to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's I mean, I've seen a lot of people also kind of complaining about the bounty system and how that works. Like,
yeah,
how does a 000 bot lane have 400 gold bounty when the other bot laner has kills or has KP? And
yeah.
it's like sometimes it doesn't make any sense. And I agree on that aspect where it's like, how are they worth 300 extra gold for doing nothing for just playing out their lane? And I feel like I see
It's
that a lot.
it's a weird system, and ever since they introduced it, I feel like they've been trying to balance it pretty much since it was a thing.
Hmm.
And it's just one of those things that's tough to balance, I think, especially
Yeah.
because it's going to interact with the game differently in a solo queue game versus a pro game. Like the
Mm-hmm.
way that solo queue games play out are so different, where they're like so much more hectic, and people are going to get kills and going to give shutdowns so much more frequently than they will in a pro game. It's one of those things where it's
Hmm.
just like tough to balance for both environments, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
We had
Uh-huh.
talked last week about the LEC and how it's kind of like a one man region or like a one team region
Yeah.
with G2. I'm
Uh-huh.
like kind of skeptical of G2 now. I think Caps is really good, but
Hmm.
this wasn't like a 3-1 stomp of a series. You know, it wasn't like,
Yeah.
I mean, Fnatic won the first game, and then G2 didn't like uber stomp them in games 2, 3, and 4. It was
Hmm.
scrappy the whole time. It was a pretty close 3-1.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think Caps is really good. I do think G2 will do well at MSI, but I don't know that the lane swap is I don't know that they have it down so well or that it's like so much better of a strategy that it's actually going to win them games against Eastern teams though. You know, like
Hmm.
I don't think that G2 can go to MSI and solely rely on this lane swap stuff to win them games.
Yeah. No, I agree because none of the other regions are really doing it. Like we saw it once out of the LPL.
Yeah.
Um, but all the best teams are not doing it, you know?
I mean, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that because when Europe gets wins at international events, or they do really well at international events, usually that's off the
Mhm.
back of creativity and like different strategies or different picks than other regions do. So maybe it's a
Uh-huh.
good thing that other regions aren't doing it and it'll catch people off guard. But now that they've done it against BDS and against Fnatic, my worry is that the other teams at the tournament will at least prepare for it a little bit, and or
Mhm.
like up to the point where they feel like they can't be caught off guard by it, and then it becomes not a super valuable strategy, and then I think they just get run over by superior play from the Eastern region. So I don't know. I was so I thought that Europe was at least a one team region where at least
Mhm.
G2 was just like head and shoulders above everyone else. But
Mhm.
now I'm like worried that they're devolving into the same kind of play as like the Fnatic Vitality kind of teams. I don't know. I kind of lost trust, as
Yeah,
weird as that is.
yeah, no, it's tough. It's really hard to gauge because none of the other regions are doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, are they playing down, or is it just what if they're just trying to trick everyone and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to be this lane swap team," and then they pull out a whole new meta come MSI. Who
That could be
knows?
something too. Yeah.
Yeah, but like right now I'm really not convinced by the lane swap strategy cuz like you
I'm not
said,
either.
it makes them look worse than they normally do. Like I don't know if that like I think you can agree with me on that there. Like they just don't look like the dominant G2.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was it was a combination of things for sure, but I think you're right. I'm not convinced by the lane swap strategy. And it's weird to call this 4 game series a close series because you look at a 3-1 score line and that doesn't seem particularly close. And
Mhm.
then Caps got a pentakill in game 3 on Azir, and
Uh-huh.
Han Sama got a pentakill in game 4 on Jinx. So they have
Yeah.
2 pentakills. They went 3-1 over Fnatic. None of that sounds like it is a recipe for a close series, but at the same time, it felt close. You know, like
Mhm.
that 3-1 to me felt like a closer series than TL's 3-1 over FlyQuest.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
You know what I
100%.
mean?
Yeah, like that game 4, I think Noah was like he was like 0 and 5 at one point, right? Like he was just
Yeah,
getting mega camped.
yeah,
And like anytime your ADC is 0 and 5 in a game, like that should be immediate game over. But the
right.
final kill score ended up being like 27-20 or something
Yeah,
like that. It wasn't like the game was just completely over before 10 minutes. Like
yeah.
that game ended up going on for I don't know how long. It's probably like it was like a 35 plus minute game, I think.
Something
Right?
like that.
Yeah.
I don't
So
remember, but it's something like that. Yeah.
it's like, is it really a really like is it really a big lead that you're gaining out of the lane swap? I really don't know.
I don't know either.
Because in
So
that
we'll
game, I
see.
don't even think they did the lane swap.
Yeah. In the game
Or
4, they didn't. They
yeah.
like. I think that they were trying to fake Fnatic into potentially going for like a lane swap themselves, but it ended up. I think neither team went
Mhm.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or actually, oh, I'm trying to remember. I think Oscar played Zach that game. And I think
Yeah.
no, I don't
I
know.
don't
Regardless,
remember.
like
Yeah.
G2 didn't look like the G2 from the whole entire split, and
I
from
know.
last split too, where they just looked completely dominant over everyone. I didn't actually watch their series. Well, against BDS, G2 looked really dominant as well.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
I don't
I'm
know.
hoping it means that Fnatic has just gotten better and not that G2 has gotten worse, but I don't know if I believe that. It
Yeah.
kind of feels like I don't know. There's a certain amount of me that's lost a little bit of faith in G2, and now I'm really it's like getting me really hyped up to watch LCS versus LEC because
Uh
I'm
huh.
thinking now, wow, TL and FlyQuest might have like real fighting chances against G2. I
Uh
always think
huh.
that they did have a chance, but
Yeah.
now it feels I don't know. They don't it doesn't feel as far as I think it could have been.
We'll have to see how well this lane swap stacks up
Yeah.
against the other regions. I guess we can start at LCS and then work our way up there, see how it compares against
Yeah.
other regions. But like something tells me that if G2 tries that shit against Gen.G, it is not gonna work. Like
I
FaZe is
can't
gonna take
imagine.
that lead and just run away with it. So
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
the
know.
other thing too. Not to like beat a dead horse on this and we can move on, but
Uh-huh.
I think part of that series too was Oscar Renan, Fnatic's top laner. He
Hmm.
looked really lost the whole series, and it seemed
Yeah.
like Fnatic, like the rest of the Fnatic team, couldn't tell him which way was up. Like they
Hmm.
couldn't help direct him where to go. There was one of the games where he played Zac, and he
Uh-huh.
didn't get a wave of minions for like 5 minutes or something. He
Yeah.
was like 0 or like 1 CS for
Stuck
several
at level
minutes.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine that you go internationally and you play against Keen or Bin
Yeah.
or
369.
369 or, you know, any
Zeus, like
Zeus, right?
literally any of them.
Even like Impact or Blippo. I just
Yeah.
like, even those, like, I don't think they'll be as lost on the map as Oscar Renan seemed in that series. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't buy it. I don't buy
Yeah.
it.
I'm honestly not convinced either. And for
Yeah.
me, it was just a tougher watch. So I'm saying get rid of it and just
Yeah.
play like G2, just play how you normally do. Fnatic. I mean, Fnatic, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
They need to just
Pray.
devolve the game and pray that Humanoid does his Humanoid Internationals thing where he just steps up and becomes a highlight reel.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the that's the
Exactly.
goal.
And hopefully Oscar and can lane against these top players, just like at
I'm worried about
Worlds.
that. I'm
Yeah.
worried about that, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um but yeah, I don't know what other regions you got to check out, but before we move on from LEC,
Sure.
did you see that closer signed with KC?
I completely forgot about that. I was gonna bring it up. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was not on my
That came out of
2024 bingo card.
nowhere.
I
Yeah.
know. Like,
Wasn't Bo like their best player?
yeah, it kind of seemed like he might be leaving. I don't know what's going on with SK, but Niski keeps tweeting things about
About
like he
Carzzy,
keeps yeah. So
right?
Carzy was tweeting about how Niski bought him from Vitality, which is obviously a troll because that didn't
Uh-huh.
happen. But like Carzy was tweeting about going to SK with Niski. Niski keeps posting pictures on Twitter of him and Bo together. So I kind of had the vibe that Bo was going to be off KC,
Uh-huh.
but Closer just came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Like,
what?
he wasn't even on my radar. I
Hmm.
actually think he's a good jungler, and I'm happy to have him have another chance, but
Yeah.
that was so random.
Yeah, like I don't think anybody could have predicted that.
No.
Yeah, because I think the general consensus was Bo is like the solid piece on that team, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. I yeah.
All I have is that I actually kind of hope that Niski and Bo end up on the same team together
Uh huh.
because I think Bo needs a team that's willing to play around him.
Hmm.
He shines when he's playing carries,
Uh
right?
huh.
And if you put him on a team where you just want him to play tanks, there's no purpose in having Bo on your team because
Hmm.
he's a carry player. He
Yeah.
was stomping solo queue playing carries. He's not like winning games on Sejuani or something. Like he probably can, but the
Yeah.
point of having Bo on your team is having this hyper aggressive carry player. And
Hmm.
I mean, what Niski is known for is enabling his junglers. The whole thing about Niski is that when he plays on a team, his junglers always look better because of him, right? So I think Niski and Bo being on a team actually makes a lot of sense
Uh
because I
huh.
think Niski will give up resources so that Bo can play his play style. And if they
Yeah.
can build a team around that where they let Bo do his thing, then I think you have a recipe for success. So if Bo ends up on a team with Niski and having Closer be on KC, I think we can be happy potentially.
Uh
I don't
huh.
know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really remember Closer too much when he was in LCS,
Yeah,
but I remember that 100 Thieves team being, somewhat hyped up, right? And
they
he
were good.
did,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think they won a split together, if I'm
Okay.
remembering. I might
Okay.
be wrong about that, but they were like contenders a lot
Yeah.
at the time.
Okay. Yeah. We'll have to see. I'll have to check him out come summertime. But
Yeah,
hopefully that helps KC get out of the gutter because they
Get
have
out
not
of
been very good.
perma 10th.
Yeah, yeah. Did you also see that Weibo is signing Tarzan and Breathe?
I did. What do
Yeah,
you think about that?
I think that's crazy. I guess the Tarzan to D plus rumors, you can squash those because I heard that Tarzan's like 100% signed with Weibo,
That's what I
and
heard too.
Breathe is the only one that's like not confirmed yet.
Yeah.
But I think that helps Weibo out a lot because like them losing Weiwei was a pretty big reason why they didn't do as well this split.
Yeah.
And I think they're mid. I think I think Xiaohu, I think Light, and I think Crisp are all solid pieces, but their top side, like the rest of their top side, was not very good. And
Yeah.
so if you get Tarzan in there, I think Breathe is also pretty solid. So I don't know. Hopefully
I mean,
Tarzan doesn't look too bad after taking a break, but
I don't think
he's
he will.
right.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be bad. But I think
There's no
that
way.
brings Weibo up a ton.
I think Weibo stocks are way up. Yeah. I mean,
Oh.
Zhao Hu is considered one of the best mid laners of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Crisp is a literal world champion. I mean, Zhao Hu has won like a bunch of MSIs, I think, or a
Yeah.
couple of MSIs with RNG. Crisp
Mm-hmm.
is a literal world champion. Light has always been, or at least recently, been a good AD carry in the LPL.
Uh-huh.
And then Weibo had Weiwei and the Shy,
This
and
guy.
the Shy, and lost both of them, which are pretty big shoes to fill. Then they brought in these two other guys who came from
It was like Jalahu and fuck, I don't know.
ZDZ or something.
ZDZ. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
ZDZ.
they
Yeah.
they
And
came from
ZDZ
some of the
was
lower team, right?
yeah, I think ZDZ was on NIP last year and then Jalahu was on like LGD last year.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
thought. Yeah, I was like kind of confused when they ended up on Weibo, but then
Yeah.
bringing in Breathe and Tarzan. I mean, like Tarzan's clearly insane. This guy's
Uh-huh.
always been good, and
Yeah.
Breathe,
I
he was
I
really
don't
hyped up
know.
for a while,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know.
I don't have too much to say about Breathe. I'll have to look into that
Yeah,
a little bit more, but the big name is obviously Tarzan
yeah,
coming in, right? So yeah, we'll see how Weibo does next split. Um,
I'm hyped
but
on him.
yeah, yeah, me too, me too. I love seeing all these moves already, especially
Yeah,
because Weibo actually surprised at the end of the split there with not the best top jungle.
yeah, they
So
were close. They were
yeah,
like they played a 5 game series against someone. I
so
forget who.
yeah, there's been so many series that we've
So
watched.
many
So
series. Yeah,
regardless, they finished in the top 8, I think, in the
yeah,
LPL. So I
something like
mean,
that.
that's respectable with the format that they have.
Yeah.
So,
So
but
that's
yeah,
hype.
yeah,
I'm stoked. But TES and BLG.
yeah, dude, top esports fan. Those guys, I love them. They're so fun to watch. They have no bad pieces on their team. Like I was rewatching their JDG series, and like it doesn't matter what you do, someone from that team is going to carry. Like
It's
that was the
kind of
vibe
an
that I got.
insane roster. It's
Yeah,
kind of insane.
yeah. Like Jackie Love was just quiet for the entire series. Game 4, he pops off, and it's like, well, now what, right?
Yeah.
But like 369, disgusting. We got to talk about Cream too. My goodness, dude, that guy
I heard
is
he had a really good
disgusting,
series.
bro. Yeah, like
Yeah.
all playoffs, he's played so well, and like this guy was, I don't know where he was before, but this guy just kind of popped up out of nowhere and like started popping off. And I just think he fits the top esports playstyle so well. Super aggressive, just like super in there all the time. And I don't know, it's something about how they play as a team. Their macro is super solid, but then their team fighting's unreal too. And then everyone's good on an individual level too. It's like a five-headed dragon they got out there.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked to see them play at MSI. Do you think that they beat BLG? Because BLG, we've talked about this like every week, but they had like a historic split that like
Yeah.
no one is talking about basically, and
Mhm.
they're 100% the final boss right now. But
Yeah.
does TES take it over them? I genuinely don't know.
Dude, I don't know either because they went 5 games like literally a week ago, right?
Yeah,
So I it's hard to beat a team twice. You know, they always say that it's hard to beat a team 2 times in a row. So top esports riding this momentum, maybe, but it's so hard because like where I think of top esports is like every player is super solid. I think of BLG as having like standouts, you know, like guys that can turn it up at like, you know, the snap of a finger, you know, at the push of a button,
Yeah,
like their guys can just turn it up out of nowhere. Whereas top esports, it's like they have a way more consistent identity. And then BLG, you have guys where it's like Elk will have like an insane game just pop off and he'll be like the main reason why they win. Or Bin or Knight. Or like even On will just have like some of the craziest plays that will like it doesn't matter if they're losing to start the game. You know?
yeah,
Whereas with top esports, it's like there's the way that they play is always like a slow burn where it's like a snowball, like almost every time, you know? And it's like
yeah,
for them it's kind of similar where it's off the backs of one or two guys, but it's always like solid. Like they win together and they lose together. For BLG it's like individuals and it's like, oh yeah, they turned up and now there's nothing the other team can do.
interesting. I feel like this is always the story of league teams for some reason. Is that the the two styles that you see being so oppressive in a region or so good in a region,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see one team that has really high highs but the potential for really low lows, and it
Mm-hmm.
seems like they have flashes of like brilliance, and then another team that just plays solid a lot of the time. And it's like, who wins in this situation where you have the BLG, where you have individual standouts who will have pop off games, versus like a really stable and meticulous sounding like TES,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, for some reason, you always end up seeing that in these regions.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like a thing of comparison where you're always going to see some version of that because every team is going to be different. But I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that's always how what ends up at the top. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Like,
curious.
well, like at the same time, how BLG has a lot of individual standout players, they also do play really well as a team. So
Yeah, I
it's
mean BLG
like,
team fighting, right? Like
yeah,
Jesus.
it's really like, like it's too hard for me to like predict who's gonna win this. Like, I think
Yeah,
it's gonna be a 5 game banger,
I
and
hope so.
you know that's about it. Both teams are qualified for MSI, so it's just pride on the line, right? So
Yeah,
like if you go through each individual lane, I don't know where to even give the edges to. Like
right.
the only place where I think I could give edges to is maybe like Jun being better than Tien, and then Knight
Mm,
being like a little bit better than Cream, but Cream has looked insane. So it's like I don't even know if that's a fair edge, and I don't even think that
yeah.
Jun and Tien is a fair edge either, because Tien his impact with the whole team is just so much more important too. So I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like trying to predict Gen.G and T1. Like, who knows?
Well, okay,
Okay,
hold
okay.
on.
Well,
Death,
there's a little bit of
taxes,
and
Gen.G
Gen.G
beating
beating the
T1 in
fuck
the
out of
final.
T1. Yeah,
There's some amount of certainty we have there. On
yeah,
paper, maybe not. Wow, voice
yeah.
crack. That was crazy. On paper, maybe not. But in reality, you
Gen.G
know,
owns T1,
it's
bro. Holy shit.
Gen.G are T1's fathers. They
Yeah,
are, just call them
confirmed.
daddy.
I mean, how many
Confirmed.
times does it need to happen? How many times do we need to see them beat them in a
The
final?
Chovy 4-peat, man.
Dude,
First time,
crazy.
first player to ever do it in the LCK.
Dude, in the LCK too, that's insane. On four
In the
different, completely
LCK.
different rosters too. Crazy.
Crazy.
Like, I don't know. I don't know, man. Chovy,
Th-
he really needs some international success, man, because this
I
guy is
know.
like forever gonna be memed as just a domestic, you know, power. I don't even know how to just like domestic owner, you know, and then
What do you
international
do with a
choker.
player like? What do you do with Chovy if he's the most, or maybe he's already the most, but if he becomes the most dominant domestic player in League of Legends history, what
Mhm.
happens if he gets to that point, but he never makes an international final? What do you do? What do you say about that? Because he's looking like the best individual player in the world right now. He's
Mhm.
just, like, I can't remember the last time he had a bad game, right?
Yeah.
He's clearly insane. But what do you do if this guy never makes an international final? He hasn't done it yet.
Dude, the way that he's always every year this guy's been able to carry his teams domestically, like all the way back on his days of Hanwha Life, his days on
Do you remember that
Griffin.
roster?
Dude, it was
Hold
like,
on. Do you remember the Hanwha Life roster that made? It was either quarters or semis that year. It was like 4 years
semis,
ago.
I think.
I think so. Someone
Yeah,
brought up that roster. I was like, this. It's like it's actually just the Chovy effect. Like this.
yeah.
I think the team. He had like Morgan and
It was like,
man, I have to
I
look
think
up this
Willer.
roster. Yeah, Morgan, Willer, Chovy. I think
I think
Deft was on that
Deft.
team,
Yeah, and
and
like
then
Life maybe no, not
Life or
Life, not
something,
Life. No, maybe it was Life. It was
or was it
uh
Lahens? I don't
it
remember
was
now.
it was not a world semifinals team, I'll tell you that.
How does that team ever make a world semifinals?
Right?
There's like, looking back at it, I'm like, there's no way. There's no shot.
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know, dude. Like the way that this guy's every team that he's been on, he's brought up, like
Yeah,
up to like crazy stand like the Griffin team that he was on, looking back, that roster was crazy. Like the
yeah.
pieces that were on that team.
I don't know
Um
how that Griffin roster didn't like smash though, because I mean they had, my memory, or like what people talk about is that they had Sword top lane, and
uh-huh.
Sword was like not a competitive LCK top laner, but then they
Uh-huh.
had Tarzan, Chovy,
Deft.
Viper.
Oh, Viper.
It was
Oh yeah.
when the Griffin roster first like happened. It was like
Uh-huh.
5 rookies. And it
Yeah.
was Sword, Tarzan, Chovy, Viper,
And Carrier, I think.
Carrier, right?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like for years, Chovy's just been one of the most dominant mid laners, right? And
Yeah,
I don't know. 4 domestic titles with nothing to show for it on the international stage, except for choke after choke after choke. Like I really hope that Gen.G pulls some stuff out at MSI because they looked fine against T1 this past
yeah,
weekend. They showed that they can battle through adversity. They
yeah,
showed that they can win a 5-game series, while down, while backs against the wall on match point, right?
yeah.
They've showed how complete they are, right? Like Keen was going crazy.
Oh my god, I know. What
Like,
a series from him.
yeah, yeah. And then I don't know, like everyone was kind of dogging on Pays. Pays like actually stepped up too. So it's like,
Yep.
they have one of the most complete teams. Same with T1. It's like,
Did you see that graphic about Keen? Just real quick, the like his record of placements in the LCK.
I did not know.
He has hit every placement in the LCK. Now that he has
Really?
this title,
Uh-huh.
he's ended 10th, ninth, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd, and now 1st. He's been
That's
every
crazy.
single place throughout his career.
Holy. Yeah, I
I
mean,
can't think of another player that's done that.
oh, definitely not. I mean, think about how many bad teams he's been on then to have the bottom half of that, and the
Yeah,
amount of good teams that didn't get over the hump because this was his
right.
first title too, right?
First title. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's crazy.
I know. People are saying that this is the Gen.G year and that something feels different about this team. And this is the year they're going to do it. They're going to win something or at least make an international finals. What do you think? Because I feel like people kind of say that every year.
Uh
And
huh.
maybe this year is like different in some way, but I don't, what do you think? Is this a Gen.G year?
So the way that I think of it is like, okay, last year Gen.G looked really good domestically. They won. They're always the first seed, right?
Yeah.
but they did have flaws. Doran is not like a top player. Oh, okay, he's a good top player. Don't get me wrong, but he has his flaws, right? I mean,
Sure.
Keen is a lot more solid. We've seen that
Okay.
this year. We saw it last year on KT. You know, he was pretty solid. Canyon, obvious upgrade over Peanut, right?
Hmm.
And known world champion. He's won internationally. He's won domestically. He knows how to win, this guy, and I think he's hungry for it too, right? Um, Chovy, same thing. Okay, not a known international winner, but known domestic winner, right? And
Yeah.
like one of
Yeah.
the, like you said, probably the best looking mid laner, probably the best player right now in the world. Pays hungry also as well to kind of get his name out there. Obviously, rookie of the year last year, and then
Yeah.
having an okay sophomore year. But I think with Lehens too, Lehens is also trying to like. I think there's a lot of drive for this team here.
Yeah.
I think that it might be the Gen.G year, but it's tough because like you can never count out any of the other teams out there. Like top esports, like I think they might have a chance this year. I think BLG has a chance. I think T1 has a chance. I think any of the four teams, at least for MSI, like we'll stick with MSI, but
Sure.
I think any of those four teams, they have a chance. Like it's really just close your eyes and pick their names out of a hat, and one of them, you really can't just predict it head on.
I know. Like, how can you confidently say this is Gen G's year when you look at T1 or BLG or TES?
Yeah,
Like, what do you mean I'm supposed to confidently say Gen G? Yeah,
yeah.
Chovy might be the best player in the world right now, and it's still like
It's
watching
not
any of
convincing.
these like yeah, watching any of the LPL like finals games or the just like quarters, semis, like any of those games in the
Hmm.
LPL, like man, like any of those teams look like they would be a threat. Like the
Yeah,
top 4 to 6 LPL teams all look like they could be an international threat.
yeah.
I don't know how you can confidently say this is a Gen G year. It
Right.
doesn't feel to me. It doesn't feel any different than another year. I maybe I'm a hater, but I
I,
just I don't have the faith. I don't
I
know.
I'll say that this Gen.G team feels different than previous
Okay,
iterations, in my opinion. Um, like I would definitely say that this is like the best team that's been around Chovy, I think.
yeah,
Um, but it's not enough for me to say, oh yeah, they have MSI locked.
right,
It's not like I still think that they need to prove themselves, before we start handing them the trophy. I think that they got to get through BLG again, like for
yeah,
the first time, because that's been their kryptonite. I feel like there's a lot of other teams that they need to get through first, before we just hand it over to them. But I will say that this is the best team that Gen.G has fielded in a long, like
okay,
maybe not in a long time, because four-time champions dating back to 2 years ago, but
yeah,
I think I think that they'll have better international success this year. I really hope that they do, but like we said, it could be anyone's tournament. It could be
yeah.
anyone's MSI. So we'll see.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The 4 titles in a row for Chovy thing again is like this sounds like such glazing, and maybe it is. But if you're in the LCK and you want to get 4 titles in a row as a player, as a mid laner, you have to beat Faker
Hmm.
4 times in a row.
You have to beat Faker. You have to beat Showmaker. You have to beat
Showmaker, yeah,
BDD. You have to beat Zeka.
yeah.
Like, I mean,
It 4 times,
yeah,
like
crazy.
man,
And I like a lot of the times it was off his back too,
yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's always the best player, he's the face of Gen.G,
Oh, 100%.
So I don't know. That in its own right is you could walk away from that and be, a Hall of Famer. Just never having reached the
Can you? Can, can Chovy be an all-time great of the game if he never makes an international final?
Okay, if he never even makes one, no. Uh
It's so hard,
that's
right?
so hard because like there's so many good players. I mean, you think of all the best players, and they all have at least made a world final,
Yeah,
or at
like
least
even Uzi, for example, he's hands down like probably top three greatest AD carries of all time, right?
uh-huh.
If not like two or one,
Yeah.
but he never won worlds,
Yeah.
but he made worlds finals
Hmm.
and he won MSIs,
Yeah.
right? If Chovy can never make an international final,
Hmm.
that's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you think of the best. You think of the names that have won it. You know, you think of
Yeah,
Showmaker. You think of Zeka. Like you, do you put those guys above Chovy because they both have worlds titles?
it's so weird because there are some players on the list of people who have won worlds that just make you scratch your head, right? And then there's
Yeah.
players like Jovi who have never even made a final. Because
Yeah.
I wouldn't put Zeka above Chovy on like
Mm-mm.
all-time mid laners.
Yeah.
There's no like there's no way you can do that. He's won worlds once. That was
Uh-huh.
super cool. His run at 2022 Worlds was one of the most legendary Worlds runs of any player.
Hmm.
But outside of that, like he had never done anything before that and he hasn't won anything since,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I
But
don't
then, like, what about like a Doinby?
well, Doinby at least was like an LPL threat for a
Uh-huh.
long time, right?
Okay.
Like at
Yeah.
least Doinby was doing. I mean, they had that flash in the pan FPX World win in
Uh-huh.
2019 or whatever that was, but at
Yeah.
least he was like an LPL threat for a
Hmm.
while. I wouldn't
Okay.
consider Zeka a long time LCK threat.
That. Oh yeah, that's true.
You
That's
know,
true. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know. Like the way that legends work in like League of Legends is so interesting because
Yeah,
how are you supposed to say? I mean, like how are you supposed to put players from like the LCS who are clearly not as good as players from the LCK, but like
yeah,
LCS legends, right? Because they won so many times domestically. But then for Chovy, the bars you have to win a world's title, you know.
yeah.
So
But I
it's
guess the difference there though is like with Bjergsen, for example.
uh
Well, I don't think anyone has Bjergsen as one of the like top five best mid laners of all time. Maybe they
yeah,
do. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass. I don't know. I just like Bjergsen. Maybe I'm wrong about this. I don't think he ever even made an international quarters. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. Maybe he has. But like he's never gotten anywhere close to an international world title, right?
mhm.
I think he's definitely considered one of, if not the best LCS mid laners of all time. But
Mhm.
I don't know if there's a lot of people arguing him as like top three overall mid laner of all time. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. You're
I,
right. It's hard.
it's so hard, right? Like, cause how are you supposed to like set the bar? Like, oh, you can be an LCS goat if you just win a
Yeah.
bunch of domestic titles. And we have Chovy over here who's gone four in a row, but he can't be a goat unless he makes a world's final, or an
Yeah.
international final, or he needs an international tournament under his belt to be a goat. It's like it's because he's from the same league as Faker, I guess.
Yeah. It
The
is.
bar is always going to be Faker in the LCA or LCK.
Right.
So yeah, it's tough. You got to feel for Chovy because my God, is he a good player? But
Yeah.
he will forever be Choky if he doesn't get it done on the big stage.
Okay. Well, let's maybe move on from the
Yeah,
Chovy love.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I agree. It's going to be an interesting MSI to
Hmm.
see where he ends up.
Yeah, I really want to see how the LCS teams stack up against all these, top end Eastern teams too. And then,
Me too.
I'm really curious to see how the LEC does with their newfound lane swap strategies. But it's gonna
So,
be
okay,
fun for sure.
I think that we should talk about this real quick
Hmm.
and try and predict at some level how we think the LCS specifically is going to do at MSI,
Uh-huh.
because we've talked a lot about the LCK, we've talked a lot about the LPL. I've
Mhm.
given a bunch of my thoughts, at least, about the G2 Fnatic rest of LEC situation. But I
Yeah.
feel like since the LCS split has ended, we haven't talked too much about what our expectations are for these LCS teams
Mhm.
in like the global space.
Yeah.
How do you think that they're going to look against not just like the LEC, LCK, LPL teams, but also like minor regions? Do you think
I,
it's going to look better than past years, worse? Like, what do you think?
dude, I think that the two teams that we have this year, I think both of them are going to look really good. Uh, every
Hell yeah.
region up until the LPL and LCK. I think I think
That's fair.
from the LEC down, it's gonna be pretty convincing. Maybe not convincing against LEC. Like, I think they're gonna have close games against LEC, but I think against all the minor regions, it'll be pretty convincing.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know too much about some of these minor regions, but I just feel like TL, for example, like the players that they have, they know how to play against the best players in the world. And I know that they've struggled. Like TL last year at Worlds struggled against like a GAM, I think.
I think they
Um,
lost again.
yeah,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think this year's different. I really do think that between Fly and TL, they're going to have no problem with the minor regions. I think the minor regions are okay. I really
Yeah.
don't have much to say about them though. Like, I think I would definitely have obviously the major regions in a higher tier, and
Yeah.
I don't know enough about them to like say that there's going to be any upsets, but I don't expect it, especially out of like
No.
the LCS 1 and 2 seeds. Um, and I think against the LEC, I think if anything, FlyQuest is going to have a harder time against LEC teams. Um, I don't know what's making me say that, but I just feel like right now I have TL a lot higher than FlyQuest, and I feel like TL is actually going to surprise some people, and
Yeah.
maybe
Turn
it's
some
because
heads, if you
they're
will.
you know they're going to turn some heads for sure, and I don't know if it's yeah, maybe it has everything to do with me saying that they were going to turn some heads before LCS finals. But I really hope that they continue that. And I know that they're out in Korea right now boot camping, and so I hope that
Yeah.
helps out a lot too.
Maybe
Um,
you're the GOAT. Maybe this is the conversation you should having. Maybe
yeah.
you're the GOAT for predicting that TL would just run playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're asking the wrong questions.
Yeah. Maybe we are.
Don't look into the camera like that. No,
No,
but
but
I think you're right.
uh
I
huh.
think people love to underrate the LCS teams compared to minor regions. I
Mm-hmm.
remember it was last year or the year before. There was some stuff happening on Twitter where people were ranking like every team that was going to Worlds, I think it was.
Uh
And they
huh.
had like multiple LCS teams underneath multiple like minor region teams. And it it pisses me off so much because when you look at the history of minor regions versus LCS teams consistently win. It's
Yeah.
not like it's a coin flip or something. There's not consistent upsets by these minor region teams over LCS teams.
Uh huh.
It wouldn't be an upset at that point if it was consistent. There's no reason to be rating, like, maybe there's an argument at Worlds one year when we have four teams where you can rate one or two minor regions or something above like a fourth place LCS team or something.
Mm-hmm.
But especially at like MSI where we're sending our top two teams, I'm really putting my foot in my mouth here right now. If I'm wrong about this, I'm gonna look really stupid. But I think there's no reason to rate one of these minor region teams over a FlyQuest or a TL. I don't think it's going to be close. I
Oh.
think that like FlyQuest and TL are going to be battling it out with Fnatic and G2 and pushing up towards the LCK LPL teams rather than struggling against minor region teams. And
Mm-hmm.
again, in like a month when MSI happens, if I'm wrong about this, I'm going to look stupid. But I really feel this way. I think the LCS teams are going to have a good showing at MSI, and it's not going to be close against minor regions.
I completely agree. You know, like I don't think it's even fair to be, especially for MSI, like you said, where we're sending the best two teams. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to even have any of these minor regions close to the
Yeah.
LCS teams. Like, no matter how low you want to put LCS as like a region, no matter how low you want to put LEC as a region, it's clearly LPL and LCK, LEC and LCS, and everybody else below that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's going to be, hopefully, we aren't putting our foot in our mouths here, but I think it's going to be a dominant showing from the LEC and LCS, and specifically the LCS, because I feel like everyone underrates the LCS the most, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, at least LCS G2, right? But
Yeah.
LCS is going to do just fine this year, I think.
I think if the LCS condensed from 10 teams to 8 teams and they go into this MSI and it looks really close to these minor regions, then there's some serious problems going on. Because
Yeah.
if we've condensed all of the talent in the North American region into 8 teams instead of 10, and we've talked about this whole split, how even the bottom teams in North America, even the IMTs, the Digs, the NRGs, the teams that busted out like that, right?
Uh-huh.
Even those teams had extremely competitive moments throughout the split.
Mm-hmm.
And if all of that ends up in our top 2 LCS teams like not looking competitive against minor regions or stumbling against minor regions, we got problems.
Mm-hmm.
We got real problems. If that's the case.
Yeah. Then we need to have some conversations with Mark Z for sure, and
Then
the entire
Mark Z,
LCS.
we're coming to knock on your door.
Yeah.
Somehow,
and then we
this
look
is all
really
your fault.
stupid on here too. So like, please just don't.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
So
but,
that
yeah.
begs the question then. We're pretty confident in the LCS over minor region kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do they look against the LPL and the LCK?
Oh, I don't think they take a single game, but yeah. I mean, that's just me. I know. As I'm laying in my room in California, they will not take a single game against the Eastern regions. I do not think. I would love to see it happen, but with the 4 teams that made it, I don't think so. Like, what are they gonna do? Sneak out a win against Top Esports or T1, the 2 seeds? Or I guess we don't know yet for LPL, but like, you know, do we really think that Team Liquid's gonna go and beat T1 or Gen.G? You know,
APA can't take one game off of Faker.
okay,
Not
wait.
one.
What's the format this year? I know we're gonna do like an MSI episode, but is it like a Swiss stage type? There's no Swiss stage, right? It's not like that.
I know it's different this year than it has been in the past, and honestly, I'm gonna have to read up on it before we do our MSI episode before we talk through it. But I know I saw somewhere that there's some amount of region protection.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we're not going to end up with like a LCK versus LCK and LPL versus LPL semifinal. Or something like that. I don't know. There's some amount of region protection where we're not just going to get every region killing like their other seeds.
Yeah,
So,
I did see that. So we'll have to brush up on the format, but I really don't see Fly or TL taking, at least if there's like series, I do not see them taking series off any of the top 4.
But
or
that's
any
not
of the,
games. Series
that's
is
not,
not
I
games.
know, but I don't think that they take a game off either. I would love to see it happen, though. I would love to see it happen. And if it does happen, no. I'm pretty sure that all the Eastern teams as long as they don't play against each other, they all just go undefeated. But we are going to end up seeing like a BLG versus T1. And we're going to see a top esports versus a Gen.G or some combination of those, those four, aside from the two regions playing against each other. But I think against the West, all four of those teams just go undefeated, games included.
I see why you say that, and I think if there's one bit of like solace you can take in this MSI, it's that history at international events tells us that's not going to be the case. I think that's the only, because I think on paper that's not a crazy thing to say that the Eastern teams are going to go undefeated. But if you look at any international tournament in League just throughout the entire history of the game, I think history will tell us that every Eastern team will not go undefeated against every Western team. I think somewhere in there will either be a series win from a Western team or at least game wins. I don't know what those are, and I would never venture a guess as to what they're going to be, but I truly believe that we will see a Western team at least take a game from an Eastern team.
Okay, well there you go. We'll shake on it now.
Yeah.
I say the Eastern teams don't drop a single game, and you say they're gonna get at least one.
And loser shaves their head. Maybe not.
I'll shave my mustache.
Oh, come on. You need to shave it anyways.
To be fair, I think last year, right, G2 did beat Weibo in the first round of Swiss at Worlds. Right. Yeah, so, I mean, you're right about the history there.
I mean, we get crashes and burns sometimes, too. Like, there was that top esports squad a couple years ago that didn't even make it out of groups 1 year. They went third or fourth. I think they went 2-4 in their group 1 year.
They were in DRX's group, and...
Oh, was that right? Was it in 2022?
Yeah, it was 2022 when they had Rookie, they had Jackie Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 22.
Okay.
And they were third.
I don't know that I'm going to predict a crash and burn that hard from a 1 or 2 seed from these regions, but I'll stand my ground. I'll say a Western team takes minimum 1 game off of an Eastern team.
Well, I'd love to see it. So I really do hope that some of these Western teams show out and surprise some people and turn some heads. As I would say, turn some heads. So who knows? Maybe we'll see the start of a golden road for one of these Western teams out here. Maybe it's the start of the TL Golden Road or the start of the G2 Golden Road.
Can G2 complete the Golden Road
that they failed
so many years ago?
Yeah, because they have 1 extra split too. That'd be crazy.
Is that more or less impressive if they can Golden Road with 3 splits each time? Or with 3 splits in a year instead of 2?
I think it's impressive because it's 3, but I think it's less impressive because it's the LEC.
Clip it.
So it's kind of like you go from here. It's like, oh yeah, 3 times, but then it's like, okay, wait, never mind. It's kind of the same because the league's just looking like a shit show.
I think if any Western team wins an international event, that's impressive by itself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Them winning MSI a few years back, that's already that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see, I keep on saying this, I'd love to be surprised by a Western team. Because at the end of the day, this is where we're from,
Yeah.
I'd love to see LCS do something on the international stage.
Maybe we can get a TL in finals again. Maybe we can get a TL to lose 0-3 in finals again. I would take that. I'd honestly take that.
Yeah. No, I think LCS needs an international title eventually.
Yeah. Or and even maybe an international appearance or an international final appearance at this point.
Yeah. Because they're the only ones left. So
yeah. Well,
we'll get more into MSI next week for sure, and I think we'll find out more. Well, at least by next week we'll know who the seeds are for LPL, and then
Then we can give the full rundown.
Yeah, I still don't know if there's any other minor regions going on, but we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see when the time comes.
I think we're wrapping up, huh? I think we're calling
Yeah.
it good there.
Yeah.
Thank you, as always, for tuning into another episode of All Chat. We have tons of fun making these. We really appreciate your support. As always, you can find us on YouTube, any of your favorite podcasting platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're all over the place. We appreciate all comments, follows, anything that you guys want to do to let us know how we're doing is super appreciated. So thank you to everyone who tunes in, and we're looking forward to making some fun MSI episodes moving forward.
Yep. And as always, All Chat's by the fans, for the fans. We make this all for you. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.